Welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about, is the church still the church? In many ways, the church has left the building, but incredibly possibility things happened for the church during COVID-19, and the church is still the church, even more so when we eventually come to fellowship together again. The COVID-19 crisis may prove to be a great blessing for the church. Not being able to gather in church buildings for services or programs may turn out to be long-term benefit for God's work. Pastors and other church leaders have helped to use creativity and unity to actually teach God's word and to make meaningful connections with their people. Past ministers have responded to the current stay-at-home movement by going back to those methods, such as phone calls, personal or notes, but have simple care packages stay in touch, needy numbers. The church has risen to the occasion, yet can be first say, yes, church is still church. In recent years, it seems as many churches have been focused on spectators who've shown up for weekend services, and not necessarily the population of people in the ministry. Members and seekers have gathered for weekend celebration, as that feature programming on the stage as the main priority of the church. Next in importance has probably seen to have the invitation of small groups, people to gather in smaller communities as part of the larger church. Again, the current quarantine has driven small groups to also see technology, such as Zoom, to meet in online forums. Of course, peer ministries, such as youth groups and children's ministries, has also had the scramble to make connections on the web with kids and their families. Now, to all those ministries, radio shows, small groups, and age group programming have moved online. Church leaders have had to learn to use internet-based technology like Facebook Live, Google and Zoom to fulfill those products of their ministries. The current stay-at-home instructions from government have had a huge impact on the church in many ways. The church has left the building, but has had many positive outcomes. The church can communicate effectively online. Several churches have recently posted a new slogan or emphasis on a variety of social media sites. Don't just go to church, be the church. Perhaps that is one of the positive results of this coronavirus. People attending services in person morph into a new practice of watching church services instead on the internet. Church members and potential visitors, especially younger generations, are already online, and churches have now realised weekend programming will need to stay online. Pastors have the new reality that surely may have some impact on the near future regarding how churches gather. Coffee stations, greeting teams of greeters, ministries like Sun, and how church seating practices need to be adjusted and changed. Churches connect with their people online. Small groups and peer ministries have also moved their programming technology platforms. Major organisers and new industries have emerged to assess truth and workers in how to use internet-based programs like Zoom and GoToMeeting to effectively connect with emerging generations. New sim games have been created. Web-based curriculum has been written, and church members of all ages have learned to use newer technology means to stay in touch with each other. Utilizing social media with purpose has also opened a new world of contacts for churches. The very nature of platforms such as Facebook and Instagram allows people to share their church feeds for worship and messages through their own personal networks of friends and neighbours. Not only does this practice give churches the opportunity to share the gospel online, but it may also open a new door of emphatic contacts for the church once the COVID-19 stay-at-home directive has been lifted. Churches can now meet in their communities who are located by high-impact methods. Another significant outreach opportunity for the church has emerged from the pattern of social distancing. We have got a good church has varied ministries that can be accommodations through the high impact ways to meet the needs of people in their communities. The churches have distributed groceries and meals to needy households, have helped only people without, have mailed out care packages to people in their neighbourhoods, has asked church people to call other church members and have offered counselling and other forms of aid for hurting people online. The current emphasis on using technology to communicate also helps fuel the occasion for churches to use other more personal means to connect with each other. There are essential characteristics of the church that are quite difficult to establish for online, especially long term. But whatever concern is going on in the culture, the church must all demonstrate these virtual features in order to truly be the church. The Bible is clear that divine light can only truly be accomplished by the church gathering together in community. Teaching. The teaching ministry of the church is probably being the easiest function of conversion online. Pastors move to vacant auditoriums or empty offices to record or to live stream their weekend messages for a waiting audience of church members and others who watch on social media platforms or with such. Certainly, teaching ministry of the church is of utmost importance. In Philippians 4:11-16, it's clear that God's goal for his people is growth towards spiritual morality. In fact, helping believers grow in Christ at the very core of what the scriptures are all about. Perhaps some other teaching ministries of a church, like children's classes and more adult Bible fellowships, have suffered somewhat during the days of social distancing. Pastors and their other churches will need to strategize about how to ramp up these programs again once the current days of isolation are over. Worship. One of the things many believers have missed, especially during the pandemic, has been the practice of joining with others in musical worship. Many churches have prioritized the fasting necessary as they usually show their teams play some music on the internet. However, that is not the same as joining forces with others in vibrant and meaningful worship. Verses like Ephesians chapter 5 verse 19 and Colossians chapter 3 verse 6 teach that a musical ministry between believers speak to one another requires us to focus on worship, making a melody in your heart to the word, and is truly important for the church. Fellowship, meeting together with other believers, also being one of the major characteristics of the church. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, 1 Corinthians 11:17-34. God assigned his fathers to need fellowship with other believers in the community of a local church. There have been a major dilemma and a shelter in today's world when other churches have not met physically in one location for several weeks. God's people need to connect with each other. Both peer ministry and intergenerational relationships are crucial for the church. These human connections are nearly responsible to execute on the internet. Service. COVID-19 has practically shut down a wide variety of local church ministries. Some programming has cautioned online to be sure, but other service ministry opportunities have literally ceased. Churches can provide virtual Bible studies, but it's much harder to mobilize people to serve the Lord and minister to others unless there is a physical connection. Passages such as Romans 12, verses 3-8 and 1 Corinthians 12 emphasize the importance of God's people using their God-given spiritual gifts in specific areas of ministry, most of which are very different to accomplish without getting together with others. Several churches have figured out how to use social media to reach out to their communities during this isolation for others. This such has given many believers ways to share the gospel electronically during times which they cannot have personal connections with their neighbours, care workers and friends. Numerous churches organise and designate ways to meet some physical needs in their communities, which has opened the door for other electronic contacts. These churches should be applauded for their initiative and clarity during a difficult cultural society. But the effective evangelism requires personal contact with other people. Today's church can follow the example of Peter, who was our Apostle Peter following Pentecost in Acts chapter 2, verse 14-47. Philip and following Ephesus with the Philippian in Acts 8, chapter 26-40. No, I say verse 26-40. It was Paul and Silas's method of sharing Christ with Philippian jailer in Acts 16-34. All these opportunities demand personal contact along the reference of the global message. The portship given to the Lord through the local church to be a significant characteristic of the early church. This was true in 2 Corinthians 8 and 3 Corinthians 4:10-20 were given through the local church is full to a major emphasis in the New Testament church. Patterns were given much already through the short direction of this pandemic. Initial reports indicate that going into the local church was higher during the first 3 weeks of social distancing. However, recent statistics reveal that the given trends have turned down significantly over recent weeks. As things return to a sense of normality following the pandemic, the church is likely to face a new normal of giving and fellowship that will need to be elevated then. Leadership. God designed the leadership structure for his church with clear roles for pastors or elders. Pastors can flee the flock. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 2. Over the internet, without further connections and online mission is, in a sense, just a lecture. Pastors may also include in the works of ministry. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 14 says that too is difficult to achieve for social media. What does this mean? Incredibly positive things happen for the church during this emergency come out, and the church is still the church. But in many ways, it is time for the church to reconvene in person and as a community so that these grand and truly biblical factions can truly happen. An online church seems to be an artificial version of the real thing. Churches are to be commended for their effort and innovation during a very difficult time. However, God's church is designed for his people to gather as he allows. Hebrews chapter 10 verse 25. Ephesians 4 verse 16. To accomplish his purpose. So, but with many short terms, the church has seen record growth in some parts of the community. In the south, churches have been growing due to online communication. Because my question is the church growing? Well, we don't know the answer to that at the moment. But we will know the answer when churches will reopen once again. So, I do think we need to focus on what is the church. I do think there is a question is, could the answer is the church grounds are not the church? Is that inclined is that the humans are God's church? We're not sure on that one just yet, but I do think we need to look in the Bible to find out what is church. Because interestingly, that might prove the answer to the question on in this time. I do think it's a great answer to that for sure. So we're going to look at another question. Will people come back to church after COVID-19? I do think we need to look at a bit more of what is the church, kind of prove the answer. So, I do think that is a good question we should explore, continue to explore throughout this time of lockdown. Could this be a sign that God is coming? That Jesus is coming back? But I do think we need to look at look into a little bit more about what is a church, and so how we can eventually claim that way. But okay, I got an answer. Well, COVID-19. As COVID-19 rapidly spreads around the world, and the spirit of life are used to living in rapidly constructed into our homes. Business, schools, and ministry services have all quickly moved online. No one knows exactly how long our physical and social systems last, but what short-term and long-term effects this will have on the economy. Well, many pundits are discussing on the world-wide effects on the economy and on both physical and mental health. Another key question is how coronavirus will affect religious life. In normal times, church attendances should be scholars and economists as a proxy for religiosity, Christianity. But how do we measure religiosity at a time where people are self-isolating? So churches use footage of their YouTube or Twitch videos, and in a time, people should not meet in large groups or even meet at home. What does church attendance even mean? How will coronavirus affect religious practice of our religions around the world? In this article, I will explore these questions with critical reference to the case of Christianity in America. Several forces are simultaneously at work could impact religiosity. First, how many people have more time on their hands and the opportunity or cost of time spent in religious activities has decreased. This would be perfectly true for people who have seen interruptions in their employment because of a decrease in economic activity. If anything else was equal, we expect this to lead to a rise in church attendance. And everything is not equal right now. As the coronavirus panic continues to go, people with religious backgrounds would like to turn to their faith to find comfort and solace in this time of stress. In recent years, however, reaction tendencies as a percentage of the population have already fallen in the United States, with even more pronounced drop-offs in many European nations, and percentage of population identified and having no religion has been growing. The decrease in spiritual religiosity means that fewer today than in times past will likely turn to religious institutions for silence during this pandemic. Personally, the pandemic is causing the social element of church to decrease similarly, with the service being live streamed. Conduits are not likely going to see anyone but their clergy on the screen on Sunday mornings. If a church has no screen service, or if many conduits are not online due to factors such as age or income, then social distancing may rapidly translate into rapid reduction in the social benefit of being involved in church. If this pandemic lasts more than 2 weeks, some very critical social capital might be lost from an impact long term as they attempt to regather once the social restrictions from the pandemic lessen. Utilising shows like Zoom and Skype to conduct Interact Summer School, both may help community promote these events. Having less opportunity for spending oranges in person social instruction may weaken social bonds with Australian churches the longer the pandemic lasts. The more successful churches are often ways of people continuing to interact in real time with one another during the pandemic. The less social capital they should expect to lose. The less secular churches are in providing a general sense of community, connectedness, and supported during this crisis. The more they will find themselves competing with other streaming media for the attention of believers. Depending on how many churches react fully during the crisis, may shape public representation of religion, both internationally and domestically in the United States. There have been several examples of religious shows turning into super speeding events have occurred. This group in South Korea originally tried to advise government on restricted attendance records which showed government response to the COVID-19 outbreak in their country. A quiet practice in Washington state turned deadly at 45 out of 60. People present at the practice were now confirmed to have COVID-19, with 3 who hospitalized and 2 who already died. A pastor in Florida was recently arrested for continuing to hold services at his mega church in defiance of public health warnings. Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia, and a theology school stood out as a notable exception when they were only the major university in Virginia to have students return to campus after spring break in late March, well after other universities closed their doors and moved classes online. It's still like this become but this became a official narrative. This may involve the impact societies through churches once the pandemic is over. In contrast, there are many stories of churches began in modern affairs in communities to practice social distancing long before governments have forged to improve various forms of social distancing. Many churches have also been active in making sure members are well taken care of from physical, mental, and spiritual support for their members during the time of isolation. If these examples become more prominent than the negative stories above, that myth may have a very fake perception of Christianity and started strengthening their connection with their church in the midst of lockdowns. Christianity has a long history risking their lives during pandemics to minister to the needs of others. There are many areas today that Christian organisers can also help. Much of the aid given by Christians in the past is now provided by government. In the current pandemic, healthcare workers are now the ones who are seen risking their own lives for others. These coronavirus may reduce the need for individuals to rely on the ministry of churches to help them through time of crisis, and rely more on government and medicine than in times past. And what if the lockdown due to COVID-19 lasted months rather than weeks? Well, churches began to hold 2 services. One in person for those who are confirmed to be immune, and another online service for those who are still vulnerable. What will that do with the long-term viability for many churches? All the vulnerable populations are told to still shelter at home after slightly new measures from social distance. Our individuals are more likely to be active in church, but also more likely to be vulnerable to the coronavirus. It's another phase out that absence in church may negatively impact both social fabric and financial feasibility of many congregations. Megachurches are large buildings. We require a large budget funded by a subpopulation of high, many be impacted. So too much small church populations power urban areas, with congregations whose livelihood may be more impacted by economic slowdown. But churches will also be less likely to have congregants who have active internet use with broadband connections at home. Correct connectivity may also be suffer from many means denominations who have congregations who are older than the general population. Difference altogether means that COVID-19 may have an overall effect on social reality, and may congregate unlikely to face severe challenges ahead as they attempt to deal with and later recover from the coronavirus. Life may be very difficult. After people begin to slowly come out of lockdown. The uncertainty of the duration and magnitude of its effects coronavirus have already caused a severe change in social and economic behaviour in countries around the world. The churches that successfully adopt these new realities will be most likely to maintain active position from their congregations during this pandemic and beyond. If physical distancing lasts for a long time, we may see significant regional congregation as well as economic contraction around the world. Thanks for watching the video today. I'll be back tomorrow for another video, but we're going to talk about Radio 1's bit weekend. Yesterday, another announcement was hot, and we're going to talk about it now. So, basically yesterday, each and every especially these are more announcements yesterday. Each and every Tracy, Aaron Holden are going to form. Big Charlotte, Becky Hill, Blackburn on Bottoms will also perform. Camel Flat will also perform. Declan McLennan, Dermot Kennedy, Disclosure, they'll also perform. Ed Golden was also perform. Fat Boy, Sim, Back to Back, Eat Anything will also perform. Hayne, How once and how contrast will also perform. Johnny Brothers will also perform. Love will also perform. Mabel will also perform. The Holland also perform. Rex on Country Meteora will also perform. Sean Paul will also perform. Sean will also perform. Young T and Bugsy and Young Bugs also perform. Now, there's more announcements to come. So I'll be back soon for another announcement, I'll be back soon for another video. Thank you very much.